Welcome to the Deep Dives from the WION podcast team. Today we're diving into what was supposed to be, well, a really historic moment for India's space program. We're talking about the Axiom 4 mission with Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla heading to space. Super exciting stuff.
Absolutely. A huge step, really showcasing India's advancements in space. Everyone was watching that launch date.
Yeah, anticipating this landmark moment for human spaceflight for India. But, well, space exploration is never simple, is it? The universe threw a curveball.
Mm-hmm. An unexpected one, maybe. Or perhaps kind of predictable if you know launches.
Predictable in hindsight, maybe. It was the weather.
Yep. The planned launch got hit with a delay. Just 24 hours shifted things slightly.
Only 24 hours, but it tells you a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About that delicate balance between all this high-tech stuff and just plain old nature.
It really does. Especially when you're trying to leave the planet.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to really get into why. Why can something like bad weather, which sounds so everyday, completely stop a multi-billion-dollar space launch? And, what does this specific delay signal about India's whole space ambition?
Right. We'll unpack the key bits, look at the mission, the delay, and what it all sort of means in the bigger picture.
Okay, let's set the scene first. Why is Axiom 4 such a big deal for India?
Well, it's definitely more than just, ticking a box. It's seen as a major statement, shows India's growing muscle in human spaceflight. Axiom 4 itself, that's a mission run by Axiom Space. They're a private outfit, but working closely with NASA and SpaceX, sending a crew up to the ISS.
Right, the International Space Station.
Yeah.
And India's connection is Shubhanshu Shukla.
Yes, an Indian Air Force pilot. And his flight, it's really building on a legacy, isn't it?
You mean like Rakesh Sharma?
Yeah.
And Kalpana Chawla?
Exactly. Following in those pioneering footsteps, having an Indian astronaut on this kind of mission, it really cements India's place in space exploration for this generation.
So 4 astronauts, about 2 weeks planned on the ISS. What's Shukla actually going to be doing up there? It's not just sightseeing, obviously.
Oh, definitely not. The plan involves him being pretty heavily involved in experiments, critical stuff, like research into how the human body copes or adapts to microgravity, that zero-G environment.
Ah, right. Which is crucial if you're planning longer trips, like back to the moon or, eventually Mars.
Precisely. You need to understand those effects. And he'll also be testing out new technologies up there.
In the actual space environment.
Yeah, exactly. It could be new life support gear, maybe advanced materials, comms systems, things like that. Proving they work reliably upstairs is, well, it's essential before you use them on bigger missions.
So his work is directly feeding into future exploration goals.
Yeah.
Laying groundwork.
Absolutely. It's demonstrating capabilities, showing India is contributing at the highest level. It really reinforces India's position, among the top space nations, not just launching satellites, but sending people too.
Okay, so that's the mission. Huge potential, huge importance for India. And it was all set for Juneteenth, 2025 from Kennedy Space Center. Historic place.
That was the day everyone had circled on their calendar.
And then the pause button got hit.
Just for a moment, relatively speaking, a 24-hour slip. Pushed the launch to June 11th, 5:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time.
And the official reason given?
Unfavorable weather conditions.
It sounds so normal, doesn't it? Like your flight being delayed because of fog or a game getting rained out.
And that's the critical difference, I think. We're not talking about inconvenience here. We're talking massive risk. Lives, billions in tech. For a rocket launch, especially with crew, unfavorable weather isn't just annoying, it's potentially catastrophic.
Right, which brings us to the real nitty-gritty. Why is weather such a deadly serious factor? Let's break down those specific risks, starting with, just rain.
Yeah, rain seems simple, but around a rocket, big problems. First off, visibility. The ground crews need to see everything clearly, especially in those final minutes. Rain can make that really difficult.
Makes sense. Hard to spot an issue if you can't see through the downpour.
Exactly. And water itself. It can mess with sensitive equipment. These rockets are packed with complex electronics, external sensors, thermal protection. Water getting in is just not good. It introduces unknowns.
And the timing. Launches are timed to the second.
Down to the millisecond, really. Rain, especially heavy rain, could potentially disrupt that precise sequence somehow. It's another variable you just don't want.
Okay, so rain is more than just getting wet. What about wind? The Falcon 9's flight path was mentioned.
Right, wind is a big one, especially winds along the ascent path as the rocket's climbing through the atmosphere.
They're tishing through the thick air.
Yeah, And while the rocket's powerful, strong winds, particularly crosswinds, can literally shove it off course, the guidance systems are amazing, they compensate, but there's a limit. Too much deviation, especially early on, is dangerous.
Like trying to steer straight in a massive gust. You need to stay on that very precise track to orbit.
Exactly that. And it's not just about direction. High-altitude winds, the ones higher up, they can put incredible physical stress on the rocket structure.
Even if it looks clear down below.
Oh, yeah. These things are built tough, incredibly tough, but extreme wind shear can really strain the airframe. You don't want to risk structural damage before you even get to space.
Wow. Okay, so wind affects trajectory and the rocket's physical integrity.
Critically. And then there's the one that probably scares everyone the most, lightning.
Yeah, launching a giant metal tube full of explosive fuel into a thunderstorm seems like a bad idea.
A really bad idea. Thunderstorms are an absolute no-go, a lightning strike. It could send a massive electrical surge through the rocket.
Frying the electronics.
Instantly. Imagine the guidance, navigation, control systems just wiped out. Or maybe the safety systems. Even with protection built in, a direct hit could be catastrophic. Game over.
You just wouldn't risk it with people sitting on top.
Never. The risk is just completely unacceptable. So when they say unfavorable weather, they mean conditions that could genuinely destroy the mission, kill the crew, or make success impossible. Not minor stuff.
Mission killers, like you said.
Exactly. An unacceptable gamble.
Which really makes the idea of the wisdom of waiting make perfect sense. It might feel disappointing, waiting longer after all the building.
Oh, sure. That's totally natural. But this delay, it actually shows the right mindset for spaceflight.
Which is what, fundamentally?
It's about control and respect, I think. You meticulously plan and control every single thing you can, every calculation, every component. But the weather, that's the one big thing you absolutely cannot control.
So you prepare for everything controllable, and you yield to what you can't.
Precisely. You respect its power. When you have lives at stake and that much investment, you don't roll the dice. You don't just hope the storm passes or the winds calm down.
So the delay wasn't a failure of planning or tech. It was actually proof that the safety system, the whole approach, worked.
I really think so. It's choosing responsibility over rushing. Waiting just 24 hours for better conditions shows that safety, mission success, that comes way before hitting a specific date or getting good PR.
It sends a really clear message. Lives matter more than schedules.
Absolutely. It's proof of a mature safety-first culture, which is what you need for this kind of endeavor.
And let's not forget what's actually at stake besides the launch itself. Once Shukla and the crew get to the ISS, the work they do is incredibly valuable.
Immensely valuable. We touched on it, but those experiments on how bodies adapt to zero-G, that data is gold dust for planning future longer missions. To the moon, Mars, anywhere beyond Earth orbit relies on understanding that.
And the tech testing.
Not just academic, it's proving grounds. You need to know if that new life support system or whatever it is can actually handle the harshness of space before you bet future missions on it. Success up there paves the way for using it later.
But it goes beyond the science and engineering too, right? The inspiration factor.
Oh, huge. Think about millions of young people across India seeing an Indian astronaut working on the ISS doing cutting-edge science.
It makes it real.
Totally. It ignites imagination. It shows that space isn't just something other countries do. It's a field where India is right there, contributing, leading. It can genuinely inspire kids towards STEM fields, maybe even dream of space themselves.
It puts a human face on India's space ambitions. Makes it tangible.
Exactly. Makes it relatable.
Okay, so let's wrap this deep dive up. The main takeaway here isn't about failure or a setback because of the weather delay.
Not at all. If anything, it's a display of wisdom, respecting nature's power, prioritizing safety above everything in this incredibly high-stakes game of spaceflight.
Waiting that day just ensures the mission has the best possible shot at success when it does lift off.
It shows the commitment is to getting the job done safely and achieving the mission goals, not just launching on a particular day.
So India's big moment in human spaceflight, it's definitely coming. This little pause, driven by nature, just underlines the care and professionalism involved. It protects the dream, really.
Well said. A lesson in patience.
It really is. And that kind of leaves us with a thought for you, the listener, to ponder. We see this deep respect for nature's limits in space exploration, this willingness to pause even under pressure. What can that teach us about our own lives? In your own complex projects, maybe big decisions or challenging goals, where could embracing patience, ensuring thorough preparation, and maybe prioritizing safety or the right conditions over sheer speed. Where could that lead to better, safer, more successful outcomes in the long run?
Definitely something to think about.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Stay tuned for more intriguing stories to come from the WION podcast team.